I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would bow with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for another day. Thank you for all that could be here tonight. Thank you for your many blessings in our community. We just lift up those who are always out and about protecting us in our homes and our businesses and the community. Just lift them up, keep them safe as they go about their work. Thank you for those to be here, and just ask that you give us wisdom and discernment in all we do, and give you all the glory, and it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. We have Jim also is on Zoom tonight, but the audio is not working.
We did this.
But he will be attending the meeting listening through Lisa's phone. Every other council member is in attendance, so we have a quorum. First order of business is minutes from January 4. Did everyone receive those minutes? Want to have a chance to review any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, second. All in favor? Do we need to go one by one?
Yes, needs to be a roll call vote.
Okay.
Steve Huggins,
Yes.
Seth Wicker,
Yes.
Chuck King,
Yes.
Vicki Andrews,
Yes.
Todd Monosmith,
Yes.
Scott Elzey.
Yep.
Jim Oswald.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we're gonna shuffle some things around because some people need to get out of here. So we're gonna bring Dewey up first for the Veterans Office activities for 2021.
Thank you very much. My report will be very short and to the point, I think. I'd given you each a kind of a recap of what we have done in the vet's office this past year. It's been pretty busy. As you can see in each of the categories there, the in-person activity, the calls, all are up from over the last year. And it's been, for a part-time office, we have kept pretty busy. I remember there was one day we actually had 11 different people come into the office, and fortunately, some of the older folks just like to talk a little bit, so it wasn't all work. But so I think we do a pretty good service, from taking care of their needs on filing claims to just being a friend of the veterans. So, I did, back in January, I gained accreditation by the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. That was a pretty big step for us. I've had 2 online courses that I completed. I have to complete those at home, which is not a problem, but I've had 2 of those that I finished this year. And our big outreach happened back in July, where we had an ID card event. Had a gentleman from the VA in Fort Wayne come down and had the veterans come in to sign up to get their ID cards. We had almost 50 people participate there, and it was such a good event. I'm thinking that maybe April we'll try to have another one of those. So, unless you have questions, that's pretty much what I have to say. I think we're doing okay. So,
Yep. Appreciate all you do.
Yes.
all right, very good.
Thanks, Dewey.
Thank you for your report.
Okay, Chad Klein, you're up next.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't think that's on. Gonna go over the annual report, try to kind of breeze through a lot of the things. You know, some have already heard some of these through a lot of the different presentations that have been going on. So I'm gonna jump right into the key activities. Kind of touch on, you know, obviously we do a lot of outreach to our businesses. Our outreach has mostly been through email or electronic or phone calls. We're trying to respect not going into the facilities if absolutely necessary. Although we still do that for abatement compliance. We still do our BRE visits with the state and Purdue and Northeast Indiana Works. And then we also were invited this year on our trips. We kind of focused them on a lot of ag, and so we brought the State Department of Ag representative with us on those trips so that we can create some more connections through that state department as well. So workforce development, we had a lot of companies that took advantage of Next Level Jobs funding. We helped provide the input and the information to get them ready for that. That program opened up for about 2 weeks, and over $2.5 million was allocated to Northeast Indiana businesses within that 2-week period. So it went very quick. 85 total site leads, 20 responses. A lot of responses or a lot of leads are coming for big buildings and a lot of people, and we have neither of those. So we're working with our local communities to create videos that highlight those communities that will be on our talent and live on our talent attraction website. So what we're doing is creating videos for the communities that don't currently have one. Markle just completed one on their own. We helped financially support that. And currently Bluffton has one, and so we wanted to get the community that didn't. And then this year we're going to go back and do Bluffton, update theirs, and we'll do one for the county as a whole once we get Bluffton's done. Worked with Area 18 through presentations to the Donwood Foundation to help secure over $1 million for CTE programs in Adams Wells and actually Blackford County. Bluffton did receive just over $100,000 for a machine that goes into their welding program. And we did through our USDA Rural Business Enterprise grant, we did provide a $25,000 loan to Karma Tech Engineering. One of the big things that we're glad to get back this year was a manufacturing day. We had over 300 Wells County students that visited manufacturing facilities, those being Haven Manufacturing, AAM 2020, Edge Manufacturing, Trusted Manufacturing, Remke Manufacturing, AT Fairway Metals, and Intia Products. We received some grant funding through INMAC, which is the Indiana Manufacturing Competitive Center through Purdue, that helped us pay for all the transportation costs, the lunches that were provided, and the t-shirts that went to the middle school students that participated. Tourism marketing development efforts. We did receive some funding from the commissioners to help us kind of kick off some of that, some of those projects as we start to kind of look at what sustainable funding looks like. So we are working currently with Trade Creative out of Markle that's doing brand identity, updating our tourism website, and designing a tourism guide. We are partnering with the News Banner to have that guide produced, and will be out at the end of March. So that'll be a first for Wells County, and we've had an article in the newspaper, and we've gotten a lot of phone calls. We've got a ton of events that are going to be in there, and getting ready to work on stories and content that will go in that as well. Hopefully at some point we can have a conversation about what the sustainable funding to continue those efforts will look like. Economic investment, $34 million in new investment, 135 jobs for $4.7 million of new payroll. The largest projects being 2020, $23.5 million in equipment, a combination of new equipment that's going to be relocated from their Ohio facility. TI Automotive did over $1 million. Star Engineering, Edge Manufacturing, and Haven also making investments. And then if you drive out in the off of Adams Street, you can't miss the 200,000 square foot spec building that's currently going up that RTT Investments did. That building has the capabilities of expanding up to 400,000 square feet and is approved for that. As we start to get into the data piece, workforce is an interesting animal. Our unemployment rate absolutely plummeted. But one of the things is you can kind of see also the total labor force also went down. The good thing, however, is that the employment numbers really didn't drop significantly. Employment, however, from throughout 2019 As you can see, I kind of averaged about 14,123, and we averaged about 13,717. So we still have some people missing in the employment side, and in the total labor force we have a significant loss. But I think what we're seeing, however, is that most of those that have fallen out of the labor force were the ones that were on unemployment. We averaged around 400 people on unemployment, and now we're around 100. So those folks have fallen out of the workforce. We're trying to figure out why. We're trying to do some things related to understanding childcare issues that may be impacting individuals for employment, and trying to work through some of those things to understand that a little bit better. Per capita income continued to rise in 2020. This is always a lot of this data is a year behind. I think some of that is we kind of knew that per capita income went up when you saw your seated numbers go up quite a bit in 2020. I think we will probably see a little bit of a dip in that in 2021 because 2021 seated numbers also did decline. So I think that's kind of a direct reflection of what's actually happening in income. So GDP kind of went down. There's a lot of economists expect a real strong 2021 for GDP. People are so busy they can't even keep up, which is resulting in supply issues. Components of population change, we kind of breezed through a little bit of a positive increase for population, having 11 people total. I think, as you can kind of see, which is certainly some concern, is the births over deaths. That number is starting to continue to kind of tick down, and again, it'll be kind of interesting to see as we 2020 was an interesting year for movement, and I think 2021 is going to be, I think and hope we're going to go the other direction based off of home sales that took place in 2021. You couldn't find a home if you tried, so which I think is a reflection of there's people certainly moving. New to the report this year, total county assessed value. Worked with Lisa to get this information, and understanding too, those totals are essentially what's reported as of or certified as of July 1st of that year. So I guess you can kind of say like 2021's $1.7 billion is technically the 2020 year, but these are 2021 to pay 2022
Right.
assessed values. So you can see we're on an upward tick, and I think because you really kind of look at that and you say, okay, 2021 is technically certified for the full year of 2020. 2020, we haven't even seen what's happened with housing assessed value and the significant growth that's taken place in some of those areas. So I think and expect that 2022 is going to be, even through 2021, is going to be another really strong year for assessed value growth. And Mike's certainly going to report on some of that in the downtown area specifically. New home starts, we did have a concern last year that new home starts were going to dwindle. This is the first time probably in a while that rural outpaced urban, which is a big concern, especially for activities with the regional sewer district. You get more homes being built out of the rural areas, it has the potential to create some issues there. So the good thing is that throughout 2021, there was just shy of 400 lots approved for first plat, and some of those are currently on hold, but a large portion of those developments have started with Greenfield Acres, the Parlor Bluffs, the 18 lots that came online in Markle, and that doesn't even include the lots that came online in Ossian there at Crosswinds.
Just real quick on that, if these new developments are not assumed into the municipality yet, if they haven't been taken over, would that be considered rural? The ones that were built, let's say in like Crosswinds or whatever, if there was a house built there and it hasn't been,
We report those as
In urban? would they be considered
In
urban?
bridges and crosswinds permits.
Okay, just curious, just clarification there, just because eventually
Yeah.
those will probably
And
be.
they are officially annexed.
Yeah, Crosswinds actually annexed before the first home built, where the bridges and that one was outside, but I think you consider that because they're connected to their municipal services. So, Projects for 22, some of these things are going to change as we're currently working on our strategic plan. We have a subcommittee that's working on that right now. We'll be coming to you with that as soon as we get that finished up. But a couple things we're going to hopefully be focused on is continued investment in making sure that we have speculative space available that meet the demands of both current companies that are looking for space as well as any future activities. Try to work with communities to develop master plan developments that support the Wells County Area Plan's Vision 2035 plan. Their plan is kind of more holistic. We want to kind of dive into the specifics within communities and how that supports their plan and their activities. Working on getting those marketing materials to promote the quality of place, facilitating training programs, developing marketing strategies, providing support and guidance to the READY program, which is turning out to be a very interesting program through the state. And we're going to be looking to apply for some additional USDA Rural Business Enterprise grant funds so that we can continue to help those kind of unbankable small business startups to make sure that we do provide an avenue for those. And I absolutely want to emphasize that we can't do what we do without the support of our municipalities and the funding we received, and as well as these businesses that are on the back that go above to support us financially to make sure that we can do what we do. So, any questions?
REMC with the fiber optics,
Yes.
obviously we saw a lot of activity, but I've not heard of anyone connecting yet. Doesn't mean they aren't.
I
You
am,
are?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so is that still branching out, they're still moving?
Yeah, I
Okay, because
saw-
I've had several people ask, because we saw the trucks everywhere around, at least Uniondale.
Yep.
And I don't know anybody that's hooked up around there yet, so.
Yeah, I still see splicers on the side of
Okay.
the road. I know there for a while they'll be working for 25 cents and leave for 27, so they've run into some issues with keeping people here long enough to keep them continuing that work. I think they're starting to kind of, between the getting the lines dug and then getting the next person to come in behind to put the box on the wall, and then the person comes in and actually hooks you up inside. But I know the Markle area is starting to see a lot of connection.
Good.
So they're connecting.
And how's the service since you're on it?
It's a lot faster than what I had.
Okay, it's good to know.
So it's pretty good. I don't mind it at all.
I'm just ready for some competition for MediaCom, so.
And now it's the bigger question is how do we fill in the donuts holes?
Right.
Because the unfortunate thing is we're creating those donuts around the communities like Zanesville, Uniondale, and some of those that are serviced by others, and they don't service them with a utility, power utility. And so how do we start to work with the communities? How do we work with the RNC to say, okay, you're all the way around it. How do we get the middle of it?
Right.
So,
Well, thanks for the update.
yep. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Does anybody else have questions for Chad?
Thank you guys very
Thanks
much.
for the update.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to Sheriff Holiday.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I will start off with jail numbers. As of this afternoon, we had 76 total inmates in jail, 34 pretrial superior, 24 pretrial circuit, 5 F6, and 4 DOC. So a little bit down from what I reported Monday, I believe, so can give us a little bit more breathing room. I handed out the activity report for January. Obviously, if you go through there, activity was definitely up compared to this time last year. And then we're starting over on the second page as far as our generated income for 2022. In 2021, we had ended with total revenue of $407,863.01. So I don't see anything out of the ordinary. There was no DOC per diem payment made as of the first of the year yet. That's why that's blank in that category. As far as jail construction update, we are hopping pretty good. I could use about 5 more maintenance guys to help chase all the contractors around that are in and out of the facility from day to day. It's been quite busy, especially when you're trying to run a 24/7 operation and keep everything going status quo and have all the things going on that we have going on out there. Bob Montz, I think, is second guessing leaving the county highway to kind of settle down a little bit and work in the jail. So he definitely puts the miles on every day, getting these people around to where they need to be and making sure everything's secure in the process of doing that. So as far as this past week, we weathered fairly well with the snow and everything else. Everything stayed pretty calm for the amount of snow that we did get. Everybody, I think for the most part, with schools being closed down and people staying home, we had I reported to the commissioners because they asked me, I think 2 property damage accidents and 5 slide-offs and 0 personal injury accidents. So that's pretty.
It's good. Very good.
That's pretty low for that type of weather incident or situation. So one last thing I just wanted to bring before the council. I'm asking. I didn't really put this on the agenda. It's been something. I don't know if I really needed to put it on the agenda or not specifically. We have a position in our jail. I handed out 2 job descriptions for you, one being our central control officer, and this is our control room, and I know most of you have been out there for tours and whatnot. This is where our dispatching used to be done. It's still set up as a dispatch center, but that is what the central control officer, this is their job description of what they do. I mean, typically they have the same job, they have added responsibilities now, but they also they do everything that they always did. They just don't transmit radio traffic over the radio and those type of things. The second job description I gave you is what is our IDAX coordinator, terminal agency coordinator. And I can kind of explain to you briefly what an IDAX coordinator is and what they do. The IDAX stands for the Indiana Data Communications System, and every law enforcement agency in every state uses it. Ours is called IDAX because of Indiana, and MDAX would be Michigan or whatever. But this is a communications information storage and retrieval system. So when we have stolen vehicles, missing people, those type of things, those warrants, no contact orders, all those things are entered into IDAX, which is then connected to the national system, which is called NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center. And so this is how across the United States, if Lisa McCormick is wanted in California and we pull her over on a traffic stop in Indiana and we run her, we would get a hit off of her because their state would have it in their system, which then would be tied to the national system, not to pick on the auditor. And she has no warrants last I knew, so. So IDAX is controlled, the IDAX portion is controlled by the Indiana State Police, and it is a very rigorous process as far as what we have to do. And to be an IDAX facility, being a jail, we run inmates when they bond out. We make sure that they're not wanted somewhere else. We make sure that if we run across somebody and we have all these articles, people that need to be put in the systems, we get audited. They're very intense as far as what we have to do. We have to check. If we put a stolen gun into the system, the state requires us to validate it so that it doesn't sit in the system forever. If it gets recovered, we have to take it out. There's a lot of things that have to do in this, and what I'm trying to get to is we have a lady who, at our department, that not only does the central control job, but she is taken on the responsibilities of the IDAX coordinator. I have asked her to track her hours for the last couple months. In addition to her job, she puts in about 15 to 20 hours of extra work in trying to keep our agency kosher as far as what we need to do when it comes to IDAX. And what I'm asking for the council to do is I'm not asking for an additional position, I'm not asking for anything to that effect, and I'm not asking for additional money, as I would like to change the salary ordinance to include a line item for IDAX coordinator and allow her to be paid what a sergeant would be paid, which is the first level up from being just a particular confinement officer or jailer. She's been with our agency for 3 years. She'll be on year 4 somewhere in this year. Is her anniversary date. It would change her pay by $1,220 to move her from that status to what we would classify as a sergeant, which is a first level pay in our pay matrix. I figured it would just be easier to reflect that like we do in a salary ordinance where we have 1 lieutenant, 3 sergeants.
What's the frequency, I'm sorry, on the 1,200?
As far as,
Annually?
that would be for the year.
For the year?
That would be it, yeah, that would change her pay by $1,200, $1,220.28.
Do you currently have both positions? I mean, in the past, have you had both positions?
We
filled?
have.
It's
We
just
have,
now
and
it's
it's-
gotten to the point where.
It is, yeah,
Okay.
what the state requires and everything else, and
Sure.
quite frankly, it's a volunteer, and I don't like to get into the business of, we have a lot of specialty jobs
Sure.
in law enforcement,
Sure.
K-9 officer, firearms instructor. A lot of these people get compensated by the extra hours that they put in. She's doing this within the confines of her 8-hour day.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I feel like there's a difference in this. I've been a firearms instructor for 16 years, and, you know, one, I like the job, I like to shoot guns, and so, but we also got the overtime and the training that was involved, so we were compensated in some way to that effect. And this isn't, this is volunteer, and it is a lot of work, it's very tedious. It's a very small amount, and I would like to, in a way, recognize the ability and the efforts that she puts in that job to be able to bump her to that status, which is a nominal amount. It would fit within my budget. I'm currently 4 jailers down right now, and salary is not going to be an issue within my budget. So I'm not asking for money to do that.
So Sheriff, when you said 15 to 20 hours of extra work, but she's doing that within her 8-hour day, or is there overtime that currently is being
There's
paid?
no overtime in that. I'm saying that that's in addition, she's spending that much time just on that and doing her job.
And Still getting it all done within 8 hours, though?
Yeah, she
Okay.
has the responsibilities of the central control officer, but she's also spending 15 to 20 hours a month on just
Okay.
this stuff.
I was just more
within
concerned
that
if
8 hours.
she's,
not-
to give her more pay, but
Yeah,
she's
I'm
doing
not having
15 to
her
20
work-
hours of extra work.
That's
She's gonna get
per
burned,
month?
she's gonna
I
get
thought you
burned
meant
out.
Per week.
No, that is
Yeah,
per
per
month.
month.
month,
Okay.
okay, gotcha.
That makes me feel a little better. She just doesn't get burned out then either.
Right.
15,
Correct.
20 hours of extra
No.
hours, so.
No. So it
Covering
does,
one person to cover 2
yeah,
positions here,
and-
technically, right, you're saying?
and obviously with those hours, this isn't something that's a full-time position or anything like that.
Gotcha.
It's-
Right,
it's-
okay.
That job description I gave you is all of what falls
That's what-
within that duty as an IDAX coordinator.
Is there a significant amount of training that would take place
Yeah,
if
the
someone
state-
else had to do this?
Yeah, the state has to come down, and so they also keep track of all the certifications for every officer, for everybody in the facility that uses IDAX, the system. So we want to run a warrants check on somebody. The state has to come down and they have to maintain all our records. They have to validate them once a year. She has to make sure that we're all certified and trained. Every year, we have to recertify as an IDAX coordinator within our facility to be able to run people. So she has to keep track of a lot of people that's involved in that, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't mean to drop that on you, it's just, I think it's important to me. I see how much effort and time that she puts into that, and, one, I don't want it to go unrecognized. Two, I don't wanna, you know, there is a lot of things that we all do, and we don't do it for extra pay. She hasn't
Right.
asked me that, so that's not the case. This is something that the jail commander and I, you know, she brought to me several months ago, and I said, start tracking her hours and how much effort and time she's putting into that, so.
When you say it's like bumping up to a sergeant, the sergeant is only on a deputy basis, so is this just?
We have
okay.
sergeants in the jail, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, we have the 2 matrices.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
like a deputy base pay, then the first level in the matrix is a shift sergeant.
Okay,
Same in the jail, it starts as a jailer, and their next step is, it's $1,000 increase from when they first start, but since she's been in 3 years, that's why it's the 1,200.
Can't you just make that position a sergeant position? Do you need council's approval?
If you're doing it
To
within your
do, to
budget.
change the salary ordinance, I would, is that correct?
Yeah, because you only have one sergeant, right?
In the jail?
Yes.
No, I have three, one
You
for
have
each shift.
three, so he'd need 4.
Okay.
That's what you're
So
saying.
the thing was either to change that to 4, or I didn't really want to, I didn't want to muddy it up and say she's a sergeant, because I'm trying to create the position because of what she's doing. She's not supervising necessarily people in that position. She is one of our top trainers when it comes to doing what she's doing in central control, but we don't put her over other people. So that's why I thought if we could put a IDAX coordinator line item in there, reduce the number of people in the salary ordinance for the central control or what was classified as dispatch down by 1, and we would just put her in that line item, put it in the matrix as the identical to what a shift sergeant would make.
I don't have any problem with that. If someone wants to make a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Have a motion is second. Roll call?
However,
Yes. Steve Huggins.
Yes.
Seth Wicker.
yes.
Chuck King.
Yes.
Vicki Andrews.
Yes.
Todd Monsmith. Yes. Scott Elzy.
Yep.
Jim Oswald.
It was a yes.
7-0.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also invite, I know Steve came out yesterday, kind of just to see a progress on the construction. If any one of you would like to come out, just give me a holler, or if you're in town and want to stop by and just see don't wear nice shoes if you want to go outside and see what's going on out there, but our lot's been pretty muddy because of that, but I would be more than glad to kind of walk you through, show you some of the progress of what they're doing so far.
Okay.
So.
Any word on a fund replacement yet for the loss of the gun permits?
No.
Just lost in
I actually
space?
I have a sheriff's conference coming up here in 2 weeks, and I'm hoping to hear more. I know we've been having weekly legislative meetings, and it's kind of, they haven't heard anything from the state as far as how they're going to fund that yet, so. But right now, we're still doing okay with the funds that we have, but eventually it's gonna, they need to be doing something pretty soon with it, so. But it is still a priority. The Sheriff's Association, they're kind of bugging them constantly, and the lobbyists are bugging them as far as what they're gonna do. They said they were gonna do it, we just haven't seen them do it yet, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're up, Mike.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Today, I'd like to present the 2021 annual report for Bluffton Now and downtown Bluffton. So everybody has the report. I'm not going to go over in great detail the items in it, but just hit some of the highlights this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. You can see what our mission, vision, and our values of our organization, as well as our team members. I'm going to go over our executive team, which is myself, John Stoffer as Vice President, Nick Huffman as Treasurer, and Jeremy Penrod as Secretary last year. We do have part-time staff of Audrey Dudley, and we have a 26-member team. Our board members are made up of building owners, business owners, concerned citizens, government leaders, bringing together a great team of people that help to lead the downtown revitalization effort. Last year, our organization was able to meet our aggressive budget, which allowed us to move into this year in a strong place and be aggressive with our goals for this year. We were able to meet our budget through the Burfest event, which we set a record level on fundraising, as well as a downtown dinner event that we had and some other general sponsorship opportunities throughout the year, specifically focusing around the summer music concerts. So with that, we were able to jump right into the Downtown Pathways Project fundraiser, again, sitting on a good budget standpoint, which is the improvement of 5 alleyways in downtown Bluffton. So we're really excited about seeing that. We have a First Farmers and Merchants Bank in Ossian that is partnering with us to help with any multi-year pledges so that we have financing to do the project as well. So we're excited to have that partnership back as we used Ossian State Bank for that service for the plaza. The accomplishments for this year were highlighted, again, with the Burfest. We had 9 successful CRP, or Community Reinvestment Grant programs, which returned 187% return on investment to the city of Bluffton's investment into that program. Highlights from that were a couple of downtown upstairs apartment improvements, as well as toppings improvements in the first floor commercial area, along with a couple other first floor improvements that were done in a building that was scheduled for demolition last year. Now has 2 wonderful occupants on it in the east side of Market Street. We had year 2 of the Parlor City Market. It was a great year, brings hundreds of people into downtown on Saturday mornings, which really transforms how downtown feels on a Saturday. It's a really great thing. The summer concert series kept people in downtown longer later in the evening, woke up the plaza and kept things going on those evenings, which was really exciting. We're really excited about going to the next level this upcoming year and expanding that. Took a little bit the first couple concerts, and people were trying to feel it out by the end. We had packed space down in the plaza, which is exactly what we were looking at doing with that project. We had the Elks Club partner with us with the summer block party, and they'll actually be taking over that event. So we're really excited about that partnership and seeing other organizations step up and be interested in the future of downtown and the betterment of our community. We were able to complete the downtown parking and streetscape studies, which were some of the foundation for the idea of the Pathways project as one of the goals for improvement with that. We were able to obtain the Indiana Accredited Main Street certification, as our organization is overseen by the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, and we meet their high standards for accreditation due to what we do and how we operate as an organization. We had a great Chili Walk organization, and our Small Business Saturday and Downtown Passport event was extremely successful and tied in with the Parlor City Christmas, made a big difference with downtown businesses and participants across the board. We also kicked off our Downtown Pathways Project fundraiser and are currently sitting at 62% funded on that project. The next page talks about the health of downtown. So across the board, we saw increases. Their highlight, we're at 91% first floor occupied, 69% on second and third floor, and we have 100 total businesses in downtown. The key piece of this, as Chad alluded to in his report, if we remove the hospital and hospital-owned properties in downtown, our assessed value is just over $10 million, and that is up $1.7 million since 2019. So in 2 years, we have seen $1.7 million in assessed value growth. That is directly attributed to downtown building improvements, as there has been no new construction in downtown. And downtown pays $159,000, a little bit more in change, in taxes minus the hospital property. The reason why we take the hospital property out is because it in itself is a giant assessed value and giant taxpayer. They're worthy on their own discussion, separate to this report. And it really is 2 separate things. You see our marketing stats. We fully intend on continuing to grow our ability to market and to tell people about downtown and the events and the activities and the businesses in our community. We see those opportunities continue to grow. Bluffton now has put a lot of effort into our marketing marketing process, and we continue to see those processes grow as we're adding new team members that are going to really up our game in the next couple of years. So really excited about that. The next thing I wanted to do is just to say publicly that we're so excited about the businesses that chose to open in downtown last year. The highlights, we had Toppings, which is a hard-baked ice cream shop, the Nutrition Loft, and the Studio, which are the 2 businesses that occupy a building that was scheduled for demolition. The Balance Massage Therapy and Body Works here on Johnson Street, parking lot neighbor to the side of us here. The Youth for Christ, the Lounge, the Garage, which is the Youth Activity Center, much needed thing in our community. It happens to be in a wonderful downtown location. And Renovate Counseling was the last business to move to downtown, and they are occupying a former hospital building on Main Street. With that, our future plans are to continue with the community investment program. We're very excited about this year's group of applicants, and here shortly we'll be able to announce what those are. Our goal is to begin the construction of the Downtown Pathways project once we're able to meet 100% of our fundraising goal, to grow our marketing outreach as well as to continue to grow our events and activities throughout the year. Again, focusing on the farmers market, our bread and butter things like the Chili Walk, and Small Business Saturday, as well as Burfest and other opportunities with the Summer Concert Series. So with that, I would ask if there's any questions about Bluffton Now or downtown.
How long has Bluffton Now been as an organization?
This started in 2014.
So how many businesses were downtown then versus now?
I cannot tell you the original stats. Where our occupancy number was in the low 80% when we started.
Definitely up.
Yeah.
Just wonder if you knew.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when we started, we were not part of Okra. Some of the stats keeping is part of the things that we do for our accreditation process. So we only have those for the last 4 or 5 years.
Mike, is there any talk, have you guys had discussions about broadening the scope of Bluffton Now out into the neighborhood communities, the old part of Bluffton?
Sure. Bluffton Now as an organization is always going to be a downtown organization. But what we do see is that the success and the group of bringing a group of people together to help promote an area within our community is something that anybody can do at any location. So if there needs to be a west side of Bluffton or east side of Bluffton group or a south side of Bluffton group, there is an opportunity to learn from what we are doing and create an organization in support of that. It's too much for any organization to focus on multiple things, but the process and the goals and how to do it are definitely available to anybody to start. And the more fans of Bluffton that we have, the more fans of Wells County that we have, the better our county and our communities are going to be. So we definitely support, I know our office and the Planning Commission would support people being excited about all sorts of places, just like Ossian has Ossian Revitalization. There's other opportunities there, for sure.
Any other thoughts, questions for Mike? Really appreciate all the work that you've done
Yeah,
and
it's a
the
lot of
vision
work.
that you've got and made this organization happen. So thank you.
We greatly appreciate your support.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
Good evening. Okay, I know we're doing things out of order tonight, but we're going to go with the staff modification. Beth, you want to come forward?
Are you allowed to sit here, or do you need to go over there?
I don't care. There you go.
You're good.
You don't want to set mine. Okay, I had broached this subject during the budget time about a retiring employee in my office, which her last day was last Monday. And since then, Beth has also had a retiring employee in her office. Our deputies make the same amount of money, and I have all this included in your packet. But a deputy auditor with the salary, annual wage, and benefits makes basically $54,673 annually. So instead of replacing this person, I'm gonna eliminate, and she's gonna eliminate this position, but those job duties that our employee did will be redistributed throughout the rest of the office. So our request today, and Beth can add to this whatever she wants, would be $3,000 each annually for each employee in the office.
And how many?
Yeah, how many
And how many is
businesses?
that?
I have 4,
So auditors are 4.
Including yourself?
not including myself. But you can't change a wage for an elected official throughout the year. But we would kind of like to have that added on to next year's.
Next year. So you'll just come to us next year and ask for an adjustment then? Okay.
And Beth, how many did you have?
Yeah, how many do you
How many
have?
deputies?
I went from 7 to 6,
So you have 6 that will be impacted by, not
Yes.
including you?
not including
Okay.
me. Yep, 6 deputies.
Now going forward, are you gonna be able to keep up with this with one less
Yeah,
person? in
we
these
discussed this
situations, or-
quite
Cause I mean, you know, you
yeah.
kinda you
Yes.
start going that pathway and then.
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's not a-
we all felt like we was willing to do that, you know, just to take on, and it's really been a test to it, because I have one that is in the hospital right now, and one that was possible, but she did test negative for COVID, but she thought she was, so she's been off for a week, and then we had a death, so we had that person off, while that other person in the hospital, so not only did we go down 1 deputy, we have went down 2 more for almost ever since this other deputy has retired. So we have been hopping, but we are good, you know, we are able to do it, and, you know, like I said, and we've just redistributed the duties that my criminal deputy, that's basically what she did, was the miscellaneous criminal work, and, well, protective orders, and, you know, all kinds of other things along that way too, but, yeah, and it's working real well, everybody's just learning, and we've just, you know, pushed that out to the rest of the staff, and we're willing to take on that extra work, and I feel like Lisa too, I would really like to compensate them, you know, for their extra effort. I have a great staff that really, they strive on and helping, you know, so we work with each other real well.
I mean, I always believe in incentives. I mean, I'm always an incentive kind of person, as long as it's getting done, you know, properly, you know, it's not, things aren't getting missed or whatever. you know, from that standpoint.
And how do we note that, you know, while the 2 of you are in office, you'll remember this day, and
Yeah.
remember we do it, but somebody replaces you, they come and say, we need one more person.
One more person again.
And people change around off of council as well. How are we going to remember that we gave this extra money with the idea you're going to be down a person permanently going forward? How do we,
Well, I think, you
does that make
know,
sense? Because
yeah,
that's my
exactly.
concern, is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
you guys 4 years from now are gone, the next person comes and says, oh, we need an extra person, and nobody remembers that, well, we didn't do an extra person because we gave everybody else more money.
Well, the idea that we're not gonna have all new council members also in
Probably,
4
yeah.
years. You know, so, you know, you would know that we've had this discussion at this time too. But, you know, they would have to come, and I'm not saying because, you know, something could change in legislation.
Sure.
That it's just like, you know, we no longer are going to record in the recorder's office, we'll have the clerk do that. You know, so, you know, or we're gonna do away with the city court. Now the clerk's gonna do it, you know, and Lisa could be the same thing, maybe.
In either
they're
case, you
gonna
need
take
somebody even
treasurer
now, yeah.
Jobs away from the treasurer and give it to the auditor. We have no idea of what's gonna be in the future, but, you know, looking forward at this point, I don't see that there's ever going to be a need.
Okay.
Because we do know with technology, you know, nowadays, everything just makes things more, less,
More
Well,
efficient.
yes,
more
technology has made
efficient
these
and
jobs
stuff.
quicker.
Yeah, you get it done so much
You
quicker.
still have the same
Yeah.
responsibilities, just like my settlement deputy, that's the one that retired, used to have to enter everything on the big, long spreadsheets, add everything up, you know, with the calculator. Now you just enter on the computer, you know, it takes
Sure.
less time. It still is a big job.
Yeah, but it's just, the computer does a lot for you. And believe me, we don't want to add any more deputies because we have to be fingerprinted, we have to be done an
Yeah.
FBI check, you know, and everything else, and it's just a nightmare. And we always say
Yeah.
that, no, we're not replacing anybody else. So, I mean, at this time, I don't see that there's going to be a need to ever replace anybody unless, you know, something happens down the line that they have actually just gave a whole new.
And I like the
job
idea of the
description.
government efficiencies and the savings there, so, you know.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
I was in the
just
clerk,
just
when I
like-
was in the clerk's
But-
office, I had to hand type
Yeah, I bet you did.
the stuff, you know, so, you know, everything comes a long way. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future.
Right.
And, you do e-filings now on a lot of things, so that has changed a lot of things.
Right, yeah, so we're not making paper folders anymore. I mean, even though that didn't take, a lot of skill so much, I mean, you're poking holes, you're putting it in a folder, you fold them, and then you have to go file it. So, I mean, that went away. But just still the process of what you have to do with that paperwork is still there, but it's just sent out electronically. It's all through email, so it's the same process, it's just made it more efficient.
Do you know if any of the other, I know you two have come in here, do you know if any of the other county agencies are in the same boat where they're thinking, hey, we could be down a person because of efficient, like, is this gonna
Yeah, I was gonna
spill
say, this
over
is
because
a
there
good
could
one.
be?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be.
I love efficient government.
Mm-hmm.
Saves money, makes everything better for county taxpayers. If you talk to other colleagues over there to say, because as soon as word gets out, hey, they're getting raises for this, maybe we could be down another employee if one retires or leaves. Do you think
Well,
that,
Our offices are, the bigger offices, of course, some of the other,
Yeah.
like the treasurer's only got the,
Smaller.
3 of them, the
Okay.
courts 2, the assessor's a smaller office.
so may not have the
So
opportunity?
if you take, that, prosecutor and probation, I don't, they got this,
That's
I
true.
can't speak for any of them
Right.
because I don't know.
And they're not here
They have a
asking.
Secretary for, each one of
Yeah.
theirs, so, and I can't speak for them,
Okay.
I really don't know.
What I would anticipate happening is that
That's-
it's going to be opposite. They're going to be screaming for a bigger raise because the deputies at these offices got a bigger raise.
Mhm.
Or
And that's what I was,
But,
Just,
but there was,
they could
I'm not saying that
they're,
they could come cut one of their, or have a employee they don't replace.
that's a
and get
discussion
their-
we'll have to have at budget time.
Exactly.
exactly,
Yeah, but I
because
anticipate that because it's.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
well,
there are some offices that probably could cut down half and probably wouldn't even be noticed. I mean, it's all about whether they want to save their department money or not. And I think we're, you girls are saving, are saving the
encouraging
county
that.
quantity,
Yeah, they're
yeah, are
So
encouraging,
can you
saving
run us
money.
through the numbers again?
Sure.
Just lay that out, include any benefits that might
The
come.
annual wage for 2022 is $36,052. For single life insurance coverage, the county pays for that person $6,141. So depending on what kind of coverage they have,
Pick,
yeah. PERF is 11.2% at $4,037.82. FICA Med 7.65% at $2,757.98. 4 weeks of vacation, $27.73. Holidays, $2,080, and personal days, $831.
Now, that'll like came with the 54,673.
Yep.
So you're eliminating that. Okay, so what happens to those numbers when you add a wage increase to the other 4 in your
Well,
department?
that wouldn't do anything for the health. It wouldn't add any more vacation days, holidays, personal days. It would just be the, $12,000 and then
1.1%.
per
Wages.
FICA Med. So you're just increasing $12,000 annually for my 4, and then whatever the PERF would be. I would do it on my phone, but Jim's on it.
Jump on.
And FICA Med at 7.65.
one other question, do you see in the near future more potential retirement taking place or
Oh, I've got.
changeover?
I've got a lot of them that's getting close to retirement age,
So
but
you-
I don't
so
know that I
you-
could go down anymore.
So when it goes to the point, you're
Yeah.
gonna bring new people in, now when
Yeah.
you bring new people in, are they gonna be as experienced as the people that are going out? So you're gonna be in a situation of needing more people, or, there's just a thought.
We've rearranged our office already, so we don't have room for nobody else anymore. So, I don't see the need that we're gonna bring them in,
Okay.
anybody else, and that's gonna happen. I have another one that is already told me that she's going to be retiring with, and it could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. She hasn't given, so I know I'm going
So
to have to
you're gonna have
replace
a
somebody, but.
potential replacement
Yeah,
coming
but it will
soon,
be
so-
replacing that. I would not be bringing 2 more people
Yeah,
in
you would
to
need
to
2
replace
if you
one
want
person.
to keep,
Yeah.
to keep
Right.
going. It's back to that original
Yes.
question, of how many people
Times
you eventually
11.2%.
need.
I don't disagree with the recommendation
but
And then-
I'm
So that
pretty
plus
confident this
12,000.
isn't gonna be the last
7.65.
time we're gonna be
Okay.
discussing it.
Right,
Definitely.
that's what,
That's what I'm trying, we need, if we're gonna, we need consistency
918 there.
if things,
And that'd be at
And then 12,000.
yeah.
plus 12,000.
in the short run, it's gonna be a
Overall payroll is
savings, in the long run,
14,62.
we'll see.
And then, yeah, let me grab these. Yeah, I don't have.
So I understand
them.
the service 6141's include, for the health insurance is included in all those
Yeah, because
numbers.
that wouldn't go up.
In the
Yeah.
54.
Yeah.
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 How many
So that's
employees do you
not
have?
changing,
Three?
they say.
That
You-
was my 4.
That was your 12, was
Yeah,
4,
and she has 6.
so
6.
10 altogether. So basically, you're looking at a total of a cost of about $35,655, but we're saving 2 employee salaries, which would total
54.
54 each, so
Yeah.
108,000. So we go basically 36,000 extra to them, but we're saving 108,000. So that'd be a net of about $73,000 in savings to the county,
For both offices?
both offices combined,
Combined.
all that
Yeah.
combined. So not insignificant.
Like I said, I believe in incentives.
Right.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I'm that kind of person, but I'm still trying to make sure I'm getting
Right.
the handle on here. what we're-
And if it goes to hiring people down the road, when you are replacing somebody, that extra wage when you're hiring would be, I'm sure, helpful as well.
Right.
I mean, somebody
Yes.
leaves, you're now offering them a much higher wage than what you were able to before.
Right.
So, but,
My last employee took a cat and pay to come here.
well, you gotta find more of those,
I
right?
know. Yes,
Okay.
it was hard.
It's hard to find those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Any more questions regarding this subject?
It just seems like it's gonna skew equitable across the board that we've always been trying to be.
When are you looking for this to be effective?
Well, they've already taken on the duties. My employee retired, over a month ago.
How about
So-
the pay change? When would you recommend it be effective? Is it
Yes.
immediately?
No.
Yes, immediately, yes.
I'd feel better personally comparing it with the other, the salaries to the other departments. I know we did the budget 4 or 5 months ago, but I've forgotten where this ranks with the other teams.
Well, the only thing is, those people, your deputies and your deputies are taking on those added responsibilities in those offices. Those other offices aren't having added responsibilities given to them. So-
I understand that, but perception is reality. My fear is that others will look at this as a raise, legitimately or not, but it could be interpreted as a raise, and I didn't get one. They got one.
But the sheriff just got one.
Yeah,
For that extra duties they just took on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it wasn't anybody who's a current office holder, but because I had been in some of those departments and worked there, I knew of an office that didn't need to add on a deputy when one retired, and I suggested to her that she did not add a deputy and maybe filter more money through her other deputies, or whatever ones she was gonna have. And she chose to hire another whole employee because she didn't want to lose money in the department. Now, that was a choice that she made on that.
And I don't at all disagree with the concept, much like Seth has explained it eloquently, about from a money-saving standpoint, taxpayer standpoint, and all that.
And that's what we're trying to be, is good stewards of taxpayer money, but also good employers. I mean, our girls pitched right in, and that might have been trained for a couple years to take, because, it's settlement, it's big jobs.
Right.
And it's a very detailed job.
Yeah, yeah.
And it gives an incentive to those other departments to look at their own
Look at the,
and figure out with efficiencies, maybe what we needed 20 years ago, we don't need that many people now. And when someone retires, obviously not scale back anyone's job, but think twice before you have to replace them.
Well, if no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we increase the salaries as presented.
Have a motion? Here a second?
So move second.
Do a second? Roll call?
Steve Huggins,
Yes.
Seth Wicker,
Yes.
Chuck King,
Yes.
Vicki Andrews.
Yes.
Todd Monensmith,
Yes.
Scott Elzey,
Yes.
Jim Oswald. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Beth. Okay, we're going to move to additionals and transfers. Do we have any?
We don't. I had some internal
Yeah,
transfers that
okay.
you would have gotten.
So,
if you have any questions on those.
does anybody have questions on internal transfers? Did everybody get a chance to see those?
Just make sure I did. We had one from what, Superior Court, Community Corrections, Project Income, and Health.
Yes.
That's it, right? Those two.
Let's have a motion on transfers.
You don't really need one.
We don't need one? Okay, all right. So we won't do that then. Okay, I know there's some discussion from Nate and you guys on, you would come up, so,
The two county and federal aid
Yep.
additionals first, and then we
Yep.
can do
Yeah, that's fine.
the RSV stuff, because
Yeah,
I think
let's-
those will be,
let's do that first.
those are pretty straightforward. The Bridge 71 over Rock Creek, that's one of our federal aid projects, so we're just creating the account for that, so essentially it's an additional, but we're creating that account. It's coming out of the Cume Bridge Fund is where the match money for that project is coming from, so we're just appropriating the professional engineering services fund for that. And then also the County Road 200 South, Adams Street to Clark Street, or Hoosier Highway. That's one of the federal aid projects as well for fiscal year 2020, I guess 2026 for those projects. So I'm just asking to create those funds. That's the joint project with the city of Bluffton and the redevelopment commission in the county.
Just curious on, back to 71, that's, where's that one at?
That one's on 200 west over the Rock Creek, so just
Okay.
down by the old.
Because we have 106 is on the Rock Creek too,
Yeah,
right?
we got 3 Rock Creek bridges
Yeah,
that
okay,
federal
so
aid,
just make sure I
so,
know that. Also, on, back to Adams Street, the 614, is that money we've already, where's that coming from?
That's gonna come from the 301 relinquishment account. That's where it was set aside, the county's match. The county is essentially gonna be holding the project. The money, the other 2/3
The
of
million
this
something?
amount
Okay.
is actually going to be, because what we've got as a whole, it's 80/20 for that. So this, we're appropriating the full amount for the agreement. That's the way both of these are set up. But these are reimbursements. So 80% will come back to the county from the state as funds go out, they'll come back in. And as those expenses go out, the county will be sending invoices to the city and then the redevelopment commission for their thirds. as
Okay,
we go through.
so eventually we have to come up with 20%, and that's split where you just said about
Yep.
the city and,
Yep, so what we'll do is we'll pay 100% of every invoice, then we turn those claims into the state, they'll send us a check for 80%, and then we'll end up invoicing the city and the redevelopment commission for the others. So essentially, we'll be out, I think it comes out to like just a little over 7% of that amount is what actually will come out of the county.
but the 614 is coming from the 301 money that we're receiving from the state, from 301, old 301?
Yes.
So that's
where
that
our
money-
match is coming from, is from
Okay,
that fund.
so that's the money that's been sitting somewhere.
Yep, so they set that aside as the state,
Okay.
as the state gave us those checks. I think we got our last one already, so.
Was it 2 years? It took 2 years? to
Three.
get it?
3.
Was it 3?
Yep,
Okay.
3 $1 million checks.
So we got $3 million
Mhm.
for 301, old 301 that was from 124 to 224, right?
Yep.
So any repairs on that road,
That's our road.
it's our road now from here on out. That's what the state, they didn't rehabilitate anything, they just said, here's the cash.
We had them do some drainage improvements and then got control of it so that we could start doing some other work on it.
But that's the 614 is what's coming from that $3 billion it was.
Yes, and,
Okay.
and of that, that's 614, the appropriation is for 100% of that, but again, it's, about 93% of that's coming from other sources. But we have to appropriate the full 100%.
Right.
So,
So Nate, does phase one on 200, does that include the overpass? Is that
Yep.
what we're talking about?
that's exactly it. So that's why that's a fairly sizable, that's why there's such a big difference between the projects, because they are significantly different as far as scope. Bridge 71's a gravel road over the Rock Creek. I mean, it's about as simple as it's gonna get for a bridge, so that's why that fee was so much lower. This, a railroad overpass and a road construction on an industrial right away, that's a significantly bigger project. So, but that's what those are, so I'm just requesting your approval on the appropriations to create those accounts so we can pay our consultants as they start sending the invoices or before they do.
Okay, any more questions for Nate? If not, entertain a motion for those.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got motion second. Roll call?
Steve Huggins.
Yes.
Seth Wicker.
Yes.
Chuck King.
Yes.
Vicki Andrews.
Yes.
Todd Monensmith.
Yes.
Scott Elzy.
Yes.
Jim Oswald.
Okay.
Passes 7-0.
Appreciate it, thank you very much. And
All right.
we're in the sewer district as far as the land date one. I don't know, Leon, did you want to come up?
I'm too comfortable.
All right.
Good evening.
Evening.
Sewer district is ready to go to bids. Plan is to go to bids in March for Craigville, open those bids in April, and then hopefully have closing with SRF, which is the SWIFT grant, $5 million SWIFT grant, sometime late April. And so I think it's advertised tonight, the appropriation for the line of credit that was paid off. The county commissioners used some economic development funds to make that happen, so that was paid off. And so I think the appropriation that's being requested is for the renewal of that $500,000 line of credit, so we can pay engineering, go to bids, and then get project 2 here going as soon as possible.
I had a question earlier in regards to the one note that we seen was for $465,000.
Yeah, we're gonna send you, we're gonna
That
get you a
was
new
dated
one.
back in
Right.
December, and this appropriation's for $500,000.
Correct.
So you're taking the full $500,000, is that?
Well, we'll get you a new note for
New
500.
note? Okay, so there'll be a new note coming.
And again, that, we think, plan to close on that probably in April. We'll have to, I've spoke with Lisa and Colin, and we'll advertise for March for the appropriation of ARP funds, because that's the second component of the funding to be able to do this project without borrowing, which will significantly help the sewer district maintain rates and not have to be cash, or strapped for cash operationally to be able to maintain rates. And SRF, I was on a conference call with SRF, Bond Council, Baker Tilly. We've had several conference calls in the last month, but last week, talking with them, SRF is ready to go on Kingsland toxin. And so just as soon as we get the Craigville going, I mean, they're ready to go on Kingsland toxin, and they're basically saying, you know, get your application in, and they'll have money. And so, you know, as you know, last year we were hoping, and I've said this several times since then, we're looking at projects now more in the $5 to $6 million range, instead of trying to do, you know, $10 million projects. Because the problem is, in order to do the engineering for that many projects, and you're hoping that they're gonna come through with the money, and then all of a sudden they change gears on you, and now you're back to here. And so we really need to stay with projects that are, I think, more in that $5 to $6 million, $7 million range. You know, they could come up with more money next round, don't know. I think I indicated last time, I kind of got the feeling that there may be more in the 5, 5, 5, 5. Everybody gets 5, and then you've got to either borrow or find other funding.
So how close are we to even completing the first project?
Project 3, they're setting grinders right now. Should be probably sending connection notices in March. So there was a delay in materials delay, which has been experienced by businesses, consumers, public entities all over the place, and
So will there be another extension for these guys, or didn't you say March was what they were looking at?
They were
from
looking,
the last
right now, I think
extension?
they got their extension through March. There'll be some connection agreements. I think they're gonna be, I'm anticipating that they're gonna request another 30 days on the Liberty Center section, just because of the weather that they've had recently. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't have connection agreements sent out for the Murray service area, because I think that's the area that
Yeah, we'll release
they're
that.
closest to be done
If
and release that
Murray will
one
be done
first.
first, and they'll release Murray as soon as it's ready to go.
But back in December, when they requested the contractor
They got a 3-month extension,
yeah,
yes.
to March, so
Yeah.
now there's gonna
So
probably
there may be
be
another, they may ask for one more month on a specific project area, but they'll have to go to the RSD board to get that.
Yeah, that's up to the RSD board.
Sure.
That's not settled at this point. Right now, the last extension was out through the end of March.
So, but back to Craigville here, if this project gets all put together and it's a go, will you be paying back down that 500,000 again?
We'll be paying back down
'Cause you have the
whatever,
two-
we'll probably pay back.
With another loan, since you're getting another loan?
Correct. We'll probably pay down whatever engineering is related to Craigville. The other engineering for Kingsland Toxin then would get paid down when that closes. I
So-
think. Now, I've got to verify with SRF. We don't want to get crossways with SRF.
I mean, the plan's always been, is you would do a project and you
Right.
get your monies, you would pay this loan, this note back down or off again, then
Correct.
the next project, you would start back up again.
Right.
The reason he's making the distinction is there is engineering services that were done for Kingsland and Toxin. And so what we've got to be cautious about doing is at the closing of the Craigville project, we may not be able to use SRF funds that we received initially on phase 3. What would be phase 3? So there may be some money that's used to pay for that right now that maybe at the closing we wouldn't be allowed to do. So that's,
Right.
we're going to have to wait until we get clearance from SRF.
They may
and
let,
the Finance
but
Authority.
they may let us do that, and I'm
Yep.
gonna need to talk to, Jim about that,
Yep.
and see.
I
if
mean,
he
I
wants
like
to
the
do that.
idea, if we can keep each
Oh,
project
yeah.
goes, you get this paid and we start all
Oh, my
over again.
goodness.
It's just, you know, that's really
It's-
what we're hoping, at least that's what I'm hoping for.
It keeps it
is that-
easy.
Well, it keeps it simple and keeps it very organized.
It's something that nobody else gets to do. I mean, as far as departments go, I mean, you're talking about if SRF is projecting that they want to proceed with the Kingsland Toxin project, you're talking about millions more of infrastructure spending being put into Wells County. That's huge. I mean, you just can't do that. It's doubling and tripling the rate of what we were able to do. I mean, in 5 years, you're gonna have.
And that's fine, I'm just hoping we
all
can
this
keep the
stuff done.
same pattern
Oh, yeah,
going, so that we
absolutely.
can keep it, you know, that
There's
note's
just
good
a
for 2
little-
years, so we don't get to a point where it starts to get
Right.
these, carrying
As
along
each
balances.
project gets
with-
funded by SRF and then gets closed, then all expenses related to that should be paid back.
Should be
to the
paid
county.
back, according
I
to our
agree.
resolution.
There's there's a little nuance with this one because of that Kingsland Toxin area. So,
But on the other hand, that's why SRF is saying, go with it, because they know we've got it engineered.
they want to see it
They're
done.
ready to fund it.
That's great. So,
So Nate, just to go back to Liberty Center and Murray right now,
Mm-hmm.
when those projects are concluded, I assume that who we're contracting through to do the work also cleans up the roads.
Yep.
So is that you that will hold them accountable at the end of the day to make sure it looks as though nothing ever happened, because
Yep.
both look like a disaster?
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to know who's responsible for making sure that that's all cleaned up and not an eyesore when they move up and leave? Is that you that,
The sewer district owes that to the county highway and the county, because they're using the county highway right of way. So the sewer district is the owner,
okay,
and then VTF is the contractor of the owner. So what I would do is, as your county highway engineer, is I would relay the message of any complaints of the county commissioners or council to the RSD board, and then say, hey, officially, you have got to tell your contractor you gotta do that. So I gotta put on the county highway engineer hat and say, you've gotta make this right by us, as given your access.
so at the end of the day, that would be you that will sign off before they up and leave and say, it's checked off and looks good?
It
So
Okay.
I would be. I
shouldn't
would
necessarily be
the best.
complaint-based, it's just like, okay, go.
Yeah, they owe this to us
Yeah.
before they're.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, you're gonna make sure that since they owe it to us before they leave and you ever try to get them back, it's done and looks good.
But we also, but we hold retainage, and so they don't get paid until it's cleaned up.
That's
and
good.
it's done.
Just understand that process is
Right.
helpful, because I get more complaints about that than anything.
It's a nuisance doing a project, and that one was a long project, unfortunately, and it's.
As long as it's fixed by the end of the day, it's fine, but just,
That's the expectation of it. And-
Okay.
And there's contractual agreements and warranties essentially in place
Okay.
to cover the RSD and the county from that.
it's good then.
Nope, it's good to know.
Okay.
So do we need a motion for that one specific?
Do you, whether you want to go with them all together, or if you want to separate them?
Let's separate them.
Okay. So yes.
So, for this loan to the sewer district, I'll entertain a motion to do this next one for the Craigville area. Is that specifically the area, or do we need to include
The
Kingsland?
500,000 will actually, it would cover, it has money that goes from Craigville, Kingsland, and Thompson. Actually, it does cover all three.
I think it's a motion to renew the
Renew the
$500,000
revolving
line
loan.
of
Yeah,
credit
line
To the
of credit,
RSD.
yeah.
according to
What
the
they
terms
do
of
with
the
it
line
is
of
what-
credit resolution that you passed in December.
We just, yeah,
With the new updated
the
amount.
resolution.
Spells that out.
It spells that out to what we're doing with the note.
Okay.
So it's
Right.
all
And the money still comes out of rainy day.
routering.
So what you're doing is just appropriating the rainy days?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
just approving the appropriation.
So I'll make a motion to approve the additional appropriation to the rainy day for the regional sewer district.
Okay, we have a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Do I have a second? Roll call?
Well, we lost Jim, so.
Well,
Steve Huggins.
we still have a
Voting
vote
down.
Yes.
Seth Wicker.
Yes.
Chuck King.
Yes.
Vicki Andrews.
Yes.
Todd Monesmith.
Yes.
Scott Elzey.
Yes.
Jim Oswald is not on the phone.
We can pass that 6-0.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and we'll
Okay.
report back to you and
Okay.
see you in March. so.
Yep. Thanks,
good.
guys.
Thank you.
for your work on this.
Yep.
You too.
Okay. We didn't do the other. We need a motion for the other two
Oh, yeah.
appropriations.
We did,
We already did?
we did. For his, yeah,
Oh, we already did
Chuck
that.
and Vicki.
Okay, good. All right, miscellaneous, we have just the investment policy.
And the Wells County Treasurer presented the investment policy to the Board of Finance. And that was approved on the 18th of January, and the commissioners also approved this. So this needs approved by your body.
So we need a motion to approve. Okay, we need a motion to approve the investment policy.
I'll make a motion, we approve the treasurer's investment policy.
A motion, here a second?
Second.
Good. We'll go with Vicki on the second. Roll call?
Or Steve Huggins.
Yes.
Seth Wicker.
Yes.
Chuck King.
Yes.
Vicki Andrews.
Yes.
Todd Monesmith.
Yes.
Scott Elzey.
Yes.
6-0.
All right, any other miscellaneous business that we have, that council has? All right, any miscellaneous business from the audience that you'd like to bring up today?
Your son doesn't want to say anything, since he sat here so
I think
nicely this whole time?
he looks like he's about ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
If
did- he
not,
did
I'll
very well
entertain a
with
motion
that
to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
So moved?
Second.
Yeah, second. Yes.
Yes.
Vicki Andrews. Todd
Yes.
Monesmith.
Yes.
Scott Elzey.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Jim's coming back.
We are adjourned.